Welcome to Fino. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to integrate Fino's Flutter Push SDK into any Flutter application. Firstly, it's required to have a Fino account with an active workspace. Once that's in place, let's proceed to set up an integration. Navigate to the Integrations tab and select Fino Push from the list. Enter a custom name for the integration. The App Bundle ID is the app package name found on the first line of mainactivity.kt. Open your Flutter application in Android Studio, copy the App Bundle ID, and paste it into the Allowed App Bundle IDs text box. Repeat this process for iOS by opening the Flutter application in Xcode and locating the App Bundle ID under Signing and Capabilities. Copy the bundle identifier and paste it into the Allowed App Bundle IDs text box, ensuring the IDs are comma-separated. To obtain the Firebase project ID, log in to the Firebase console and create a project. Go to Project Settings under Project Overview and select Service Accounts. Generate a new private key and download it. Open the private key with a text editor of your choice. Copy the project ID, client email, and private key. Paste them into the respective fields, taking care to copy the entire private key exactly as it is. For APNS configuration, log in to your account on the Apple Developer Forum and click on Keys. Generate a new key, naming it and enabling the Apple Push Notification Service, APNS. Register and download the key. Copy the key ID and team ID, which can be found under Membership Details. Paste them into the respective fields, and include the App Bundle ID as well. Open the downloaded private key with a text editor. Replace new lines with \n to make the text one line, and paste the formatted private key into the respective field. Once done, click on Add Account to finalize your integration. Next is the installation of the Flutter SDK. Copy the installation command into a terminal at the root of your Flutter application. This will install the SDK and add the dependency to the pubspec.yaml file, which you can verify thereafter. Let's now initialize the Flutter SDK in the app. Use the init method in the void main function with a slight delay to avoid any disruption. Locate the Workspace ID under Workspace Settings and the Integration ID in the Configured Integration. Leave the distinct ID empty and use Live as the version. Once initialized, let's register for push notifications using FCM for Android devices and APNS for iOS devices. Implement the logic for register push and modify the provider as needed. Upon user login, employ the identify function so the user profile is associated with a distinct ID. Adapt the logic for identify with the appropriate values. Finally, implement the reset user function upon user logout, ensuring to handle exceptions. Let's cover the Android-specific configuration necessary for enabling push notifications in a Flutter application. Additionally, we'll test the configuration by sending a test notification. To begin, navigate to the Firebase console to register a new Android app if you haven't already done so. Fill in the Android package name, and if you wish, add an optional nickname, then click Register App. Our next step is to download the Google Services.json file and place it within the app folder of your project. Then, we must add the Google Services class path dependency in the root-level build.gradle file and the Google Services plugin dependency in the app-level build.gradle file. After making these additions, click on Sync Now to synchronize the dependencies. Once the dependencies are synced, run the application on an emulator or a physical device. This will initialize the SDK and register for push notifications using FCM, as the init and register push functions are called on app launch. Upon the first launch, a new user profile will be created with the push token attached to it. This can be verified under User Profiles. Next, let's log in with a distinct ID, which will call the identify function and update the distinct ID of the recently created user profile. Now, let's test the configuration by sending a test notification. copy the distinct ID and head over to the Notification Events page. Ensure you have a template and a notification event created to be able to test sending push notifications. Click on the desired notification event and click on Go to Playground. Paste the distinct ID, making sure that distinct ID is selected under Trigger Using option and the correct version is selected. Click on Fire Notification and check the testing emulator or device. A new push notification should have been delivered, and you can check the delivery log under the Delivery tab in Log Details. Additionally, if the notification is clicked or dismissed, those details are also captured and displayed under the Delivery tab in Log Details. Now let's cover the iOS-specific configuration necessary for enabling push notifications in a Flutter application. Additionally, we'll test the configuration by sending a test notification. First, we run pod install in the iOS folder of the Flutter application to install the pod dependencies. Once the dependencies are installed, we add push notification capabilities to the application. Inside the Targets section, select your app target and go to Signing and Capabilities. Click on Add Capability and add the push notifications capability. Next, we add the background modes capability and select the Remote Notifications option, which is required for the app to receive background push notifications. We then register for push notifications by making some changes in the appdelegate.swift file. We copy and paste the line import fino_push_iOS under the already existing imports in the appdelegate.swift file. We proceed by copying the entire code from the documentation and replacing the existing code in the same file. The Firebase configuration code is optional and should be removed if APNS is the provider being used. Next, we add a notification service extension to the application. From the File menu in the action bar, hover over New and select the Target option from the presented menu. Scroll down or search for Notification Service Extension and click on Next. We then provide a product name, select the development team, choose Swift as the language, and click on Finish. Following that, replace the contents of the generated notification service.swift file with the code provided in the documentation. Lastly, the Fino iOS SDK package needs to be added as a dependency to the notification service extension. Select the notification service extension target and click on the plus button under Frameworks and Libraries. It's important to ensure that the minimum deployment is set to iOS 12. Under Add Other, we select Add Package Dependency and search for the GitHub repository mentioned in the documentation. We select and add the iOS SDK package, ensuring that the target is set to the notification service extension we created. All integration and setup steps are complete. Proceed with running the application on a simulator or a physical device. If you encounter a build error that says Cycle Inside Runner, refer to the FAQ section for a resolution. In the build phases, reorganize the order of embed frameworks, CP embed pods frameworks, and embed foundation extensions. Ensure they are positioned above the run script. Now, run the application. This will initialize the SDK and register for push notifications using APNS, since the init and register push functions are invoked at app launch. When you first launch the app, it will create a new user profile with an associated push token, which can be confirmed under User Profiles. Next, sign in with a distinct ID. This action will trigger the Identify function, updating the distinct ID for the newly created user profile. To test the configuration, send a test notification, copy the distinct ID, and navigate to the Notification Events page. Before proceeding, ensure you have both a template and a notification event ready. Select the desired notification event and click on Go to Playground. Paste the distinct ID, confirming that distinct ID is the selected option under Trigger Using and that you've chosen the correct version. Finally, click on Fire Notification and observe the test emulator or device. A new push notification should arrive, and you can examine the delivery log under the Delivery tab in Log Details. The log will also reflect if the notification is clicked or dismissed, with those details displayed under the Delivery tab in Log Details.